everybody's trying to make AI that won't hallucinate, and I'm trying to make AI that will do only hallucinations.
Yeah.
So when it starts doing stuff that looks too much like real or something that feels more conventional, I'll hand it things that make no sense. Like I'll take a coffee cup and pour paint on it, turn it upside down, and smash it with a hammer, and take a picture of it and give it to it, and it'll go, I don't know what that is. Is that a coffee cup? Is that a painting? Is it a sculpture? So I'm in this dialogue with the machine intelligence, which is just fucking fascinating to me. And one of the interesting things about the art world, I think, is the art world is fundamentally provincial, I think. I think in a weird way, the art world
well said.
Yeah, sees itself as sort of cutting edge, but there are scientists and thinkers out there that are out there on some other level. And I've always been interested in science fiction and biology and things like quantum theory and that kind of thing, and UFOs and all this crazy stuff. So that enters into my thinking about art. So this is sort of I've always been interested in how to combine different materials and processes. I used Photoshop kind of early. I used to take pictures. At Cal Arts, I took photos and blew them up and drilled holes in them. Yeah. So that would disrupt the idea of what a photograph was. So to me, using AI the way I'm doing, I'm just disrupting painting in an interesting way. Now, what I do with those is I print parts of them out and cut them out and mount them and then manipulate them. I cut into them, I pour resin on them, I use things like encaustic, collage, fabric, and I take them out of the digital world and into the physical world, because that's really important. Because when I've seen so-called AI artists, at like the Whitney or something, what they're basically doing is making something in AI and then printing it out and framing it. And I have no interest in that. What I want to do is turn these into something that lived inside this weird AI world and bring it out into the physical world. So I make a real point of taking these and really manipulating them, like humanizing them, right? So that's this play between, and so when my work works, I think people have a hard time. They're uncanny because they feel like something that was made by a machine, but they also, they've got the hand in it. You can see it, right? So that's where I'm at now, and I think it's I'm just beginning to see the possibilities of it. Yeah. And I think the reason I'm doing something different is not because other artists won't do things with it that'll be mind-blowing. I just think that a lot of artists are reluctant, and I don't think they should be. I think that there's I remember seeing this post like a year ago or so by Jerry Saltz of a big screen, and it was at a museum of one of these first AI things where the things moved. They had a giant screen, and there's all these, looks like waves moving, and they're morphing in and out. And he thought it was kind of dumb and kitschy, and I looked at it and I saw it completely different. I looked at that and I said, okay, maybe it's dumb and kitschy, but oh my God, the possibilities in the hands of the right person. What the fuck could this be? Yeah. Like I just saw it as possibilities. So when I look at the world of the new world of AI, I think it's incredibly exciting. I think it's incredibly dangerous in a lot of ways. I just think it's the way the world's going, and I think you're going to see 20-year-olds coming out of art schools who fully embrace this as part of their process of making things in the world. Well,
in 2013, I think, I was in a show curated by Biddy Tran at Cirrus Gallery, and it's so crazy because back then, the show was called, I forget, I have the catalog, but I forget the name of the show itself, but it was basically the anti-digital impulse was part of the title. Mm-hmm. And I think it was like The Real, the Fake, and the anti-digital impulse or something like that. And it was interesting because at that time she was putting together a show because there was still a reluctance to like pixels you know?
Yeah, right. Oh, right. Pixels, right.
Yeah.
Ooh, you know. But this has always been the case. I mean, you know, people talk about that, but, you know, there was this, the first cars were considered
Yeah.
like nuts when you could ride a horse, and photography, paintings. Why would you need a painting when you had photography? I think that the world of paint on canvas, weaving, ceramics, which I really like because it's so not digital. Is that my phone? I'm sorry. Turn it off.
Now people just know you're popular.
Yeah, right.
Some people don't turn off their phone and no one ever knows.
No one ever knows, right.
Can you adjust this a little bit more to point it to your...
Okay.
No,
Closer?
just grab it and point it more towards your... There we go.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what I was going to say was, that part of making will never go away, I don't think. I don't think...
the resistance to...
Yeah, I did. And just the fun of making, sanding a board till it's smooth. You know, I make things out of clay.
Oh, you mean AI is not going to take that away from us?
I don't think that's ever going to... I think I think there will always be a need for human-made objects, a chair made where people mill things and stuff like that. But for me, I'm just interested in this sort of futuristic kind of stuff. And I'm interested in the artifice of it because I think I think it's really timely because we live in an age where we don't know what's real and what's not real.
Yeah.
And one way to deal with that is to make like a weaving that hangs on the wall and you know what it is. You can see the process in the making. The other way of thinking about that is, you know, something like what I'm doing, or even back in the day, somebody like Jeff Koons would put these vacuum cleaners in these plexiglass boxes and they felt sci-fi. They felt like a different world. Like, what am I looking at? All this vacuum cleaner I looked at every day now looks like something from outer space. And that's always been really interesting to me.
Yeah. Well, I think the AI as a topic is kind of interesting as well. You mentioned dangerous. Before we get into that, because I do think I have an anecdote that I want to get into about that. Where I had a weird experience because I use it mostly for the podcast. Mm-hmm. I use it to edit the show. Mm-hmm. I use it to cut clips and all of that stuff. I also have worked as an editor, and that whole, for a while, and that whole thing is like drying up and becoming more prompt engineering and all of that. It's amazing how like this tool comes out and like the business, I'm sure that the hot shots still have like editors that make dynamic videos and stuff like that, mm-hmm. which I definitely don't have. But the I think that the art, the impact on the art world itself is overstated. Yes. And I think, and especially in terms of theft, I think what it really is stealing from artists, it's stealing from graphic designers, from editors, all of that. Where the ethics of that lie.
Well, here's the thing, though. What's so weird about that to me is, on a bigger picture, your brain is a big neural net, right? And we grow up, and you grew up some way, I grew up in another place. We played with certain toys where I liked insects and bugs. Mm-hmm. I was interested early on in certain kinds of art. All these influences come in, and we use all the stuff out in the world to create what we make as art, mm-hmm. right? So AI kind of does the same thing. It picks up trillions of bits of information and tries to combine them to make guesses about what this is. Now, it's going to use everybody's stuff. Anything on the internet is going to use. But then again, I think as an artist, every time I go to Hammer, mm-hmm. and see a show, or I go to a museum in New York, or whatever, you can always tell the artist because they'll be up close trying to figure out how this person did it. Yeah. And the idea that artists steal. It's not that we plagiarize, it's just artists look at the world and use things to create what they do. And I think the problem with AI is if it's directly stealing certain things, that is a problem. But I think this is going to be impossible to, all these lawsuits, because I think it's using probably trillions of bits of information. So it might see one of my pieces and then might see something else and see something else. What I've been trying to do, and I don't know how successful it is, because I think it probably does use things that it finds out there, but I keep trying to force it into my world.